I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning, but hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test part 30. A distinct identity part 3, that is on the pages 19, 20 and 21. And we just had that in Scotland, out of the Celtic language, during the Iron Age 3000 years ago, the Gaelic language developed, and then the Scotch language, and in the Scotch language, for example, John Babur had written the Bruce, just the Bruce, about the Battle of Bannockburn, in which Robert the Bruce led an army defeating the English in 1314. And in England there were also books written, for example, A Canterbury Tale by Chaucer, about a group of people traveling to Canterbury on a pilgrimage, and were talking stories while we were going there, and these stories and poems are still popular, and some are made into television plays or something. And this Canterbury Tales was one of the first books printed in English with the printing press by William Caxton, was that done in this case. The Middle Ages also saw a change in the type of buildings in Britain. So how the houses were built was changed. We already know that following the Black Death, where a third of the population died, there was not so much need for cereal crops, and the people demanded higher wages, and they didn't have enough labor, and they had gone from the countryside to the towns. And now we know that the building types of Britain changed. Castles were built in many places in Britain and Ireland, partly for defense. We know that to maintain the power of the English, King Edward I, who had made in 1284 the Statutes of Rutland, now we don't know who it was, but in 1284 King Edward I made the Statutes of Rutland and annexed with them, or declared, that Wales is a part of England, and then the castles Conway and Carnarvon were built to maintain the power in Wales. We don't know who built them. And we know of other castles, Maiden Castle during the Iron Age, and we know of the forts Housestead and Byondale along the Hadrian Wall. Vindolanda. Housestead and Vindolanda. And yes, so many castles were built mostly for defense in Britain and Ireland. Partly for defense. Are castles sometimes built for offense? But there can be other reasons, of course. Today many are in ruins, although some, such as Windsor and Edinburgh, are still in use. Some not all castles are standing now 600 years later, but for example Windsor and Edinburgh are still standing and they are in use. Let's start with the morning stretching. We are having just a comfortable stand, and we are just bringing our shoulders slowly up. Now let's start with back forward shoulder circles. We're making slowly forward shoulder circles. We're coming back, up, in front, and down, and participating in these exercises is at your arms. And now backwards to come in front, up, back, and down. And the last time. And now I will lift the shoulders up slowly. And we're letting them down again. And lift the shoulders up and breathe in. And out. And again in. And out. 2 more times. In. And the last time in and out. So many castles were built in England and Scotland, many for defense, and many are in ruins 600 years later today now, but for example Edinburgh and Windsor Castle are still intact and in use. Great cathedrals, for example Lincoln Cathedral, were also built, and many of these are still used for worship. So worship means for praying, basically, for religious reasons, for praying in Christianity, worshiping. Great cathedrals, for example, Lincoln Cathedral. So we know of. Today many are in castles. Today many are in ruins, although some, such as Windsor and Edinburgh. So Edinburgh is a city, and it's Edinburgh. Edinburgh is a city which is standing, and the castle's name is Edinburgh Castle. We have to know it from the beginning, and it's not Windsor. Windsor is also a region, it's Windsor Castle, so it's Edinburgh Castle and Windsor Castle, which are still standing and are in use. And it's not Lincoln, so it's Lincoln Cathedral as it's written here correctly. So Windsor Castle and Edinburgh Castle are still in use from the time when castles were built around 1400, mostly for defense in England and Ireland. And Lincoln Cathedral for worshipping is also still standing and in use. And many other cathedrals also. Several of the cathedrals had windows of stained glass telling stories about the Bible and Christian saints. And we have a picture after we had done the apple plaque. So just a comfortable standing, we are bringing the arms up. And now we're reaching with one hand high up. And then we're reaching with the other high up. And here is the name form that we are maybe pretending to pluck, to harvest apples from an apple tree. So reach high up, pretend to take an apple, to turn it so you can take it off and harvest it. And this time and that time are the last 2 times. And let's do the last exercise after we had looked at that window. Several of the cathedrals, for example Lincoln Cathedral, it's not written exactly here, but it's probably so, had windows, so something to look through, out of stained glass. That is a type of glass. And on this stained glass were the things depicted of stories happening in the Bible and of the Christian saints. Here we have a picture of one of these pictures. Here's a York Minster stained glass. So I don't know what is depicted here, but it are oftentimes stories of the Bible, and from the clothing I can't tell if it is of a time around Christ. Whatever. So about the stories of the Bible, there were windows who look like that. And on these windows in these cathedrals, places to worship and to pray, there's oftentimes something depicted from the Bible. The glass in York Minster is a famous one. And if we are reading what is written here at the side, then we know that this is the glass in York Minster. York is another town and also a region, I think. And Minster, I don't know all these terms precisely, but Minster is also something like a cathedral. A cathedral is another architecture type. And Minster is also, so there are churches and there are cathedrals, and I'm pretty sure that ministers are also a type of Christian religious buildings. And monastery is another one made by St. Columba on Iona, an island off the coast of Ireland. That is a monastery, there are people living, many people, and so that's not for public use. A monastery, there are people living who are devoted to Christianity and have devoted their whole life to it in all aspects. And in a church there are regular people going to the sermon and to prayer and for other things. Now cathedral is larger, I think, that's mostly so, and the Minster, it must be something similar, a Christian religious building. And there is one, for example, this picture depicting something of Bible, but I'm not sure if that picture is from the Bible because of the clothing. But it can be good that it depicts a story of the Bible and the saints of the Bible. So the saints are Christian saints. Now Christian saints doesn't have to be all in the Bible, but there are many Christian saints who appear in the Bible. So many persons who appear in the Bible who lived 2,000 years ago during the time when Jesus Christ lived, which is the New Testament, are saints, and they are depicted here, but there are also other people who are saints who do not appear in the Bible. I'm pretty sure about it, because they lived later. And it is possible that on these windows, I saw it a couple of times, are people depicted who do not appear in the Bible, but who are saints. but I think it goes a bit too deep. During this period, England was an important trading nation. English wool became a very important export. Let's not haste through it. Let's make, I think it's a fourth part, and we're going to flip over it in detail. Let's do the exercise rather. We are having the legs standing wide apart. We are breathing in. And we're breathing out and we're shifting over. And we're breathing in and coming back into the middle. And out and we're going over to the other side. And breathe in back into the middle. And out over to the side. And breathe in into the middle. And out to the other side. Breathe in into the middle. And out, we're placing the hands on the knees. We're breathing in. And out, and we're bringing one shoulder in. And breathe in, back into the middle. And out the other shoulder in. And again in. And out again, shoulder. And again in. Out, shoulder in. Breathe in, and we're going down. Now close the legs. And we're breathing in. And out, we're coming slowly with the round back up. Making it a top of backward shoulder roll. We have the feet standing to the, pointing to the outside in an ulnar limb space between the heels. Breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're sinking down into the garden pose. Place the elbows against the inside of the knees and breathe in and pretend to come with the back up against the wall. And out and we're going with the back up. And again in, back into the garden pose. And breathe in and straighten up the back. Breathe out to the garden, so now breathe out. And breathe in. And out back into the garden pose. You're breathing in. Now we're breathing out and we're coming up slowly in one straight line. Let's do the seahorse pose. So we're having a standing leg. We're placing the heel of the mobile leg on top of the knee which is standing. Do this only if you can do it without to injure yourself. Breathing in and out, and we're sinking down. During this period, England was an important trading nation. So they were trading goods. So things, maybe, yes. English wool became a very important one. So wool is made from sheep, I guess, in this case. And we're switching the leg. Export. So that was something which England was producing. So I guess there were many sheep in England and many sheep who had as hair's wool. And that wool was shorn and then was a very important export good of England, which was an important trading nation. People came to England from abroad to trade and also to work. So England had more visitors, but not as an invasion this time, but to come to trade and to work. And now we are doing a closing exercise. Breathing in and out. Again in and out. Again in and out. Again in and out. Close the legs. And we have done a pretty proper morning stretching, which wasn't even announced in the beginning. So we will either do another part or I'm going to save the rest at the beginning of the next part, which will be The Wars of the Roses. So, nice title, but not so much nice story. But I thank you very much, and until next time.